Hey guys, we're going to do a quick little video here of how hunters typically ruin a piece of property, and how you can be better at not ruining your piece of property. So number one is going to be entry and exit, and if you can establish any kind of ditch or any kind of wood lot that's heavily covered there that you can get in and out of there. You can also use water as a great resource, canoe, kayak, etc. Even wading through there is a good one. And then second is going to be the amount of pressure you actually put on that piece of property. Now, if you've got a large piece of property, say 500 to 1,000 acres, you can make a lot more mistakes in regards to somebody that would only have 20, 30, 40, even 100 acres in regards to, the overpressure of your deer herd. And, moving on to the third one, it's going to be making what you think are improvements, but they're actually counterproductive, such as not understanding, what you're doing when you go in there and create bedding, or you're thinking you're creating bedding, and maybe you are creating bedding areas, but it's the wrong way or the wrong area to create those bedding areas, and now you've got those deer right up there where you actually want to hunt, and you're blowing them out even more, as you go in. So, same as kind of what a food plot is, you really got to look at your surrounding areas in regards to the properties that are nearby to really isolate, what your piece of property you've got to hunt on truly needs. Maybe that's, you really, deer are traveling a long ways to get water, establish some water holes there. And then, if maybe you're up on a whole bunch of ridge tops, or maybe you're out there and there's not a whole lot of agriculture, now you've got a food plot that could be, established. Maybe you are around agriculture, but what you can do is create a staging plot or a kill plot where those deer transition from the bedding into that staging plot and then on out into the agricultures in the evening, and you can isolate those deer and harvest them, accordingly in that staging plot. And then, if you've got a ton of agriculture and a ton of food out there, and maybe there's, you want to isolate those deer in your property for the bedding. So now you're playing, with those deer that are coming back from eating, or the food source, in the bedding. You're able to harvest them there, and then vice versa in the evenings, going back out to food, and it should work out very well. Once you start getting into the food plot and the agriculture fields, what you're going to start realizing is you're going to have a lot more does that are going to start hanging out on your piece of property. So potentially you're going to have to start harvesting more does to keep caught up in regards to keeping a natural, good, balanced deer herd. And then the other thing is going to be what you plant during the summer and when you plant. So we run with a lot of Nixa hardware seed, and we use a lot of the buck salad, but we primarily hunt and we put our staging plots in a fall food source. I'm not out there killing deer or harvesting deer during the summer, spring, summer months. Now, it's great to have that food out there. We run a lot of the summer mixes from Nixa hardware on particular pieces of property where it makes sense to get good protein and add that extra vegetation for those deer, and it also provides a great atmosphere where we can get out there and glass and count our deer numbers and figure out how many deer we're going to need to harvest during the fall months. But again, if you're putting a whole bunch of food in there during the spring and summer months, you've got to make sure that you understand that you've also going to have to start planning a lot of your food plots to keep those deer in there, because once those summer food plots are gone, well, so are your deer, for the most part there. So hopefully this helps you guys out in regards to some pretty crucial ideas and steps to consider in regards to not running your piece of property. And again, the amount of overpressure, your entry, exit, your food source, when you're planning, what you're planning, where you're planning it at, making sure that when you do take steps in regards to habitat improvements, they're the right steps. And then also, the very last is, if you do have a abundance amount of does, start harvesting quite a few of them. I think over the course of several years, you'll start seeing a lot more mature bucks on your piece of property, which should be, a great atmosphere for you guys to hunt. So appreciate you guys liking the video. Like always, hopefully you guys are getting out there in nature, and best luck on your upcoming hunt.